Having managed to escape from the killer fish, I travelled to one of Korea's most sacred sites, the tomb of arguably their most beloved leader, King Sejong the Great. He was the ruler of Korea during a particularly enlightened period, from 1418 to 1450, and is best remembered for creating the Korean alphabet. Through his many technological advances and inventions, King Sejong profoundly impacted the history of his country. He promoted the arts and, amongst other things, invented a sundial, a rain gauge, and even a celestial globe. But he wasn't just an intellectual. King Sejong was a fierce defender of Korea, subduing Japanese marauders to the south and conquering tribes to the north. Though his development of the Korean alphabet, which enabled people of all classes to become literate, has had the biggest influence. The tomb is steeped in tradition, and there are various rituals that people follow when entering pavilions, from how they walk up the stairs to the number of times they bow at the top. Every element of the landscape's design is based around time-honoured Korean beliefs, and the setting is incredibly tranquil. As the path came to an end, I climbed the stairs to the top of the mound where the king is buried. The tomb is flanked by towering guardian statues and sealed by huge stone slabs. In many ways, it's the fitting place for a king to lie. It's beautiful, it's peaceful, but most importantly, it's still accessible for his adoring public.
I'm standing on top of King Sejong's tomb, and it's amazing, after 600 years, he's still so important to the Korean people. He's even on their 10,000 won note. But they loved and respected him so much, they wanted him to spend eternity with a view like this.
The story of King Sejong is really interesting, and I would urge anyone visiting Korea to put this site on their list of things to see. From the peaceful grounds of the tomb, I travelled northeast to an area outside the city of Sokcho, a place where the mountains meet the sea. I've come to Seoraksan National Park to see a part of South Korea that often goes unexplored by travellers, and to be in a place where the air is clean and clear to experience a very rare phenomenon. The park is renowned for its beautiful scenery. It's a dramatic landscape where jagged mountains rise rapidly into the clouds. But I wasn't here just to take in the stunning vistas. There was a special astronomical event about to occur.
I am currently just cutting out a stencil of a pair of glasses that you make, because today I've turned up to National Park and there's a solar eclipse going to happen, and I had no idea there'd be anything like this set out. They've got the stencils, obviously, you cut the eyes out, and as the glass lens part they're using old computer diskettes. What a great way to recycle. And I get to see a solar eclipse.
Being in such a technologically advanced country, it seems only fitting, even though I'm in the middle of a forest, they use computer discs to make something as simple as a pair of paper sunglasses.
Okay, so this is where the solar eclipse is going to hit. You get a 100% band running there, so 100% is that, no sun. We are in Korea right there, and we are going to get 80%. So the solar eclipse is coming through India, China, all the way across almost the bottom of Japan, then off into the Pacific. And where we are with the 80%, it's going to run through the top of China, Korea, a lot through Japan, then off into the Pacific itself. See, Australia's here, so we won't get anything at all. But there'll be little bits, like you got 40%, 60, and it works its way up all the way to 100, running right through the middle there.
As the morning got on, the people started streaming into the park, all eagerly making their eclipse eyewear and finding the best spots to check it out. Now, an eclipse is not like it is in the movies. It actually occurs over several hours. So it's not as though if you blink, you're gonna miss it. I had a bit of time up my sleeve, so I decided to stroll into the park and find my own vantage point. As I made my way in, the moon slowly obscured the rays of the sun. The atmosphere became strangely still, and the light took on this very eerie hue.
This is amazing. I'm so glad I got out of the city and came here because it's just beautiful blue sky and the light is just this really nice, soft, beautiful orange light.
With the eclipse reaching its climax and then passing, it was time to head up the mountain and do battle with the giants that live in the clouds above, or just have a look at the amazing views. The gondola ride to the top takes you through the thick cloud cover and to the cooling heights of Seoraksan mountain. It's a really strange feeling as you climb through the fluffy white blanket, unable to see what lies ahead. But emerging from the mist, you are greeted by gorgeous views. At the end of the line, there's a restaurant and kiosk, plus viewing platforms. Now, my advice is to grab a bottle of water and some snacks, because there's still a 500-metre walk to the summit. And when you get there, you're going to want to spend plenty of time absorbing the spectacular scenery. As soon as I reached the top, I was awestruck. There were crowds of people on the sloping rock platform, and there were climbers clambering up the sheer cliff face. The setting was truly remarkable, and while most people stood on the lower escarpment, I was keen to say I summited the mountain. So I made a beeline for the Korean flag that was perched on the rocky outcrop ahead.
Wow. What a view. I have to find myself a nice little spot so I can take this all in.
This mountain range is considered by many as the backbone of the Korean peninsula. And believe it or not, just 30 kilometers or so in the distance is the border with North Korea. It's hard to imagine that a country with so much natural beauty and such a peace-loving culture would have a neighbour so determined to isolate and alienate itself from the rest of the world. Within the valleys of the park are Buddhist temples, and at one of them, people can stay a few nights and experience life as a monk lives it. And luckily for me, that's where I'm heading.